What is up, YouTube? Good morning. Thank you for joining me on Geo Journeys. We are leaving Red Lodge, Montana and heading to Gillette, Wyoming. And this is what we're leaving behind. It was a pleasant stay, nice little town, and it looks like the boys are on a roll this morning. We must have missed the crowds in Red Lodge. It was a Sunday, and the town was fairly dead. But it was nice not having to mess with traffic. Let me get in my groove here, my rhythm. Quite a brisk pace my fellow riders have this morning. They must be tired of my ass, trying to get away from me. The original plan was to head to Jackson Hole for the night through Yellowstone. Called around Jackson Hole and there wasn't, or Jackson I should say, there weren't any hotel rooms under $200, even the flea-bitten ones. So we're gonna bypass Yellowstone altogether, head out to Gillette, and spend the night. To Devil's Tower tomorrow, which is a short stint. Rest up before the ride home. Yesterday was a great day of riding. We hit Beartooth Highway. And as a little recap, this year I decided to bump it up to number 1. We came in from a different side and it was more spectacular than I thought, or that I had in my mind from the previous year's riding. So sorry, $1 Million Highway, you're bumped to number 2. Route 145, which is the surprise route. None of us had traveled that before. That got jumped up to number 3. And then coming in at number 4 was 14. And rounding out my top 5 is 50. Between 14 and 15, it just depends on what you're in the mood for. Both are beautiful routes, and the ones that didn't make the list are beautiful routes. And obviously, this is just my opinion. The weather has been great the whole time. Kind of makes me leery about what I have in store for me on the way home. Last trip, I got all the way to Illinois, making great time, and about 150 miles from home, there was a deluge. I had ridden through the night because I was feeling so good, and then I pulled over and parked the bike underneath an underpass and kind of laid there, and I fell asleep for about 20 minutes. And once I woke up, I couldn't get my head straight. All that riding, all those hours, all those miles had taken their toll. So the last 100 or so miles, I could barely keep my eyes open. And it was raining. So I swore I would never do that again. No matter how good I feel, at the end of the night I'll pull over. And then the other issue I had was a long stretch of Highway 70 through Illinois at night with no traffic at all and forests on either side. Woods, I should say, not forests. And the thought of deer just popping out on the road just scared the hell out of me. Usually I'll follow behind a truck, a semi, or another car and let them take the hit. But there was nothing to be had. I was the only one on the road. And with the lighting, the stock lighting I had, it really became a stupid thing to do. And that's one of the reasons I bought these Clearwater lights. The other reason being, we have a little house in the country, as you guys well know, and riding at dusk or dawn is dangerous because there's all kind of deer and possum and raccoon that like to dart out. It seems like they wait for you and try to play Frogger. So this morning, our choices for breakfast were limited. So we hit a little organic breakfast place, and it seemed like they threw a plate together for the meat lovers. Hesitantly, I might add. There were a lot of good for you foods that disagree with my psyche and my upbringing. We're meat lovers. So I think they priced the plate such that no one will order it, for they're self-conscious. Because I got a couple eggs, a couple links, some hash browns, and a greasy, sopping wet country fried steak for $18. Everything else was priced accordingly. There wasn't anything under $10, I think. But you know, how much does a tofu burrito cost to make, I guess? So I forwent the tofu burrito and dug into my hog slop. I've gone through the videos. We had some time last night. We only did about 145 miles. So these last few days, we've only done about 140 to 190 miles. Today is going to be a longer one. So I had the opportunity to go through some videos. I want to apologize for my ramblings up front. Just mute your TV or computer and just enjoy the scenery, because I did manage to get some nice video of the places we've ridden. I struggled early on with the sound for about 3 days, but after that I got my act together, and things have fallen into place. I probably should have had a dry run before leaving to get all that stuff worked out. trying to do as much as I can before leaving for 2 weeks. Didn't really have the time, but got it figured out, and from this point on we're ready to roll. Let's see what's over this crest here, and yeah, not much. So let me tap out for now. Catch with you when I got some good things to look at, and I'll try to come up with something clever, relevant, or at least interesting. It's one of those words I struggle with. Welcome back. A few miles down the road, things opened up a little bit again. I'm flanked by great beauty, a mountain range. Some farmland. Very cool how the colors play out. Deep greens in the middle, and they get lighter as they get further away. Let's do some stats. Total mileage so far for this trip is 3,198. So about 3,200 miles. And I've averaged 46.4 miles per gallon on this trip. So it's gone up over 6 miles to the gallon, because I barely got 40. I don't even know if I did get 40 on the way here. Bike's been running great, been comfortable the whole time. Once I got the GoPro stuff figured out, I've had no annoyances or concerns. Boy, I don't know what I could say, anything that annoys me or I need to fix. Nothing. Nice and peaceful out here. The cold air is so crisp. It just feels clear when you breathe it. Life's a few miles per hour slower. And now we're in Wyoming. People are just a little bit friendlier, a little bit more laid back and relaxed. The locals, that is. The tourists are still uptight and touristy. It's a nice pace. Was looking at some land and houses just out of curiosity in Red Lodge and the surrounding areas. Prices are pretty high. A 2,500 square foot house with maybe 2 acres, I think it was, 400,000. I found my dream place. 3,500 square foot house, pole barn, and 100 acres in the base of the mountains for $1.5 million. It's gonna cost a lot of money to retire out here. Talking to someone at a restaurant last night, and they had just gone through Yellowstone, and I asked how the traffic was on Sunday, and she said it wasn't bad at all, but the buffaloes were all over the place, all over the roads, and they were holding up traffic all over the park. and really you can't drive around them. Definitely can't drive through them. You just have to sit there and wait for them to decide it's time to move. Those things are humongous if you've ever been up close. Last time we were at the park, same thing. There was a group of 4, I think, 4 or 5, with one huge one. That thing was a beast. And there were some dumb tourists in a RV trying to weasel through them, and you can tell the big one was getting annoyed and uncomfortable. So he kind of, I don't know if he talked to him, motioned him, I don't know how they communicate, but the 3 of them kind of started walking down the road and trying to get off, trying to find a place off. But there was a whole line of traffic, people sitting on their cars and looking, taking pictures. And we were on motorcycles, so I positioned myself beside Mike, behind Mike, as my wall. Kept the bike running just in case that Big Daddy got ticked off. But as he approached, probably about 5 feet from us, you can just feel him breathing. You can feel his weight shouldered onto those hooves hitting the pavement. It was an amazing thing to see. Just the power of that tank. Muscles rippling every step he took. That look in his eye that gave no hint as to what he was about to do made it made it even more scarier. He would just kind of dart his head from one side to the other, evaluating the situation, eyeballing you. You try not to stare, you look away, ready to soil your panties. But no issues. They made their way far enough away from us and everyone was able to take off. And you just breathe a sigh of relief at what could have been a disaster. As that thing decided it had enough, it could pick up a bike and its riders and fling it in the air, no problem at all. There's a video floating around YouTube of this family way too close to a buffalo. The buffalo attacks the little girl, starts charging at the little girl, must have been 5, 6. Parents just run, leave the girl alone, and this thing scoops her up in the air about 10, 12, 15 feet. It was just amazing. You've got to remember, tourists, even though they're in a state park, they're wild animals. People do some of the dumbest things. But then again, if they didn't, we wouldn't have all these cool videos to watch. Trying to decide whether to slab it all the way home and get there soon as possible, or take the scenic route. The problem is, once you get into Iowa, there's really nothing. Illinois is crap, at least in the way where I would start heading home from there. So that just leaves Nebraska, or go higher up to the Dakotas, South Dakota. I'm going to take a look at a route through there tonight. I will get on my computer now that I know what our ending plan is. I will get on my computer, pull up Curvature, plan a route home, upload it to the bike, and let the bike take me. If we leave on Tuesday, well, actually, we're gonna run around Gillette on Tuesday, so it would be a Wednesday departure.